Welcome tonight to our TMBT Media Las Vegas and TMBT Argentina podcast. We are blessed tonight to have one of our TMBT pros, Keith Jackson, calling from Argentina. Tonight, Keith, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can.
Good, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, man. We know you're busy. We understand that you're traveling and in between days you have some time to yourself. We want to say welcome, man. We want to say first of all thank you for being one of our players that has done everything that we've asked. Everything that we've asked of that group, you've been able to do and do well doing it and being successful. Tell me a little bit about your trip. Tell the listeners about your trip and what you have going on right now as part of our TMBT Argentina Combine.
Okay. Well, started from the beginning. I signed with you about 3 weeks before we headed out here to Argentina. Got here early, and everybody else worked out with Central Espanol for about 3 days before we took off to Chile. We did about 2 days, really intense training, a lot of running, a lot of shots. Of course, before we took off to Chile, you had other guys come down here as well, played Espanol. They handled us pretty well. That's a pretty good team. They've been playing for a while. But then after that, we headed on down to Chile and pretty much took care of business as a team. We ended up winning the whole thing. We did lose one game by 2, but not everybody's perfect, of course. But still, we did come back. We won the whole thing. Celebrated as a team, which was a great celebration as well. The people down there pretty much listened like family. Definitely ate good food, food I'd never had before in my life. The wood-fired chicken, I think they call it, is actually very good. It's way better than any chicken I've had in America, period. Saw some sights, and some mountains, and different places that I've just never seen before in my life. That's nowhere in America. After we left Chile, we came down to Mendoza, which is another beautiful city as well. Worked out with those guys for 3 days. We did 1-2 a day with them. And just from then, getting ready to head back to Neuquén and work out with the team there, and then in the Buenos Aires right after that. So, and it's been pretty eventful, and definitely blessed to be able to be on the trip to do something like this, period. It's my first time, of course. So.
Well, we are blessed to have guys like yourself, young man, that take it very seriously. For those of us that know that it's a different way of life, 2-a-day practices, traveling, bus trips, crossing borders. It's a different way of life, but you have clearly prepared yourself, your body and your mind to endure something of this nature. And so I'm sure it's why I have received nothing but rave reviews for you as far as evaluations, but even better, just as a good person, as a good student. You have very much so impressed and set the bar very high for our team. And so I'm, as an owner, we're blessed to have you to lead our group and to set the example of what's needed in order to continue on. You with that entire group. We were very blessed this time to have a great group of young men who understand or who were able to learn on the fly what it takes to be a part and to play pro basketball and to be a part of our family here at TMBT. Talk to me a little bit about, this is part 1, of course, of your interview. We hope to have more blogs and vlogs coming your way with Keith Jackson. Start off, Keith, with your social media so that those that want to follow you on social media, they can. Just call out whatever social media names you have.
Let's see, on Instagram, you can find me at Keith J 2_24. If you got Facebook, it's Samuel Keith. And then Twitter, I believe, is Keith_Jackson24. Snapchat's KeithJ_24 as well.
Good, man. Great. Talk to me some more, man. Paint a picture. I want you to paint a picture for our listeners, but especially for our pro basketball players, guys that are thinking, hey, is this something that I would want to do? Talk a little bit about where you were before you signed up with us, and talk about what you were thinking and how you came to find out about us. Just kind of paint a picture of how your process went about.
No, definitely. Before I actually ended up signing up with you guys, I was working on my own. At first, of course, I was blessed and able to come up there to Richmond and talk to you about 2 to 3 times, I believe. Taught me a lot of parts of the game and different things to expect when I did get over here to Argentina. Took that knowledge, definitely worked out a little bit harder before I left, but not as much harder as I wouldn't get tired. But just the process and waking up and doing more than what's expected of you is what being a pro is all about, in my opinion. So when I got to Espanyol early, I was more prepared for what was to happen. And if I didn't work out or come up there with you, I probably wouldn't have been as prepared. So it was definitely a good experience and good for me to be able to come to talk to you before I was able to take off to Argentina. It definitely gave me more knowledge.
Well, it was a blessing for us. I had a chance to meet your family. Your aunt, I think, also lives here in Richmond, Virginia. So it's what we try to be about, family, and having a chance for you guys to figure out who I am and how I see basketball and how I see life. So I'm glad that you took the time to come up from North Carolina and have lunch. I think Panera Bread was kind of like our headquarters up here in Richmond, Virginia. We would go to Panera Bread after each workout. So it was kind of like our after you came up and worked hard, then I like to take my guys out to eat, and we found one on Virginia Commonwealth University's campus, and we would go there and talk shop, man. We would go and talk basketball. Talk about your teammates that you had as well. We'll be having them on as part of our series, but talk a little bit for me with about your teammates that you had and the experience that you had as a group.
All right, well, I'll start with MVP. That one, they got the MVP trophy in Chile. Shire team. The guy can shoot it pretty much from Florida. Really humble cat, doesn't say much. He pretty much lets his game to talking for the most part. Also had Mario Butler, another humble guy, man of God. Played hard every possession that he had a chance to. He played defense, took smart shots, was aggressive when he needed to be. I also had Mike Henry, another bigger body. Shoot the ball and team player. Never really had his head down at any moment. He's also playing for Espanyol right now. First Christmas time. Also had Jamel Calloway down there, another energetic guy. Pretty much the energy of the group, I'd say he was. He played hard when he got in, good person. And I don't want to say I'm missing anybody.
Kasim Green.
Russo, another guy that played in the 3rd or 4th division down there, I believe.
Kasim Green.
English isn't the greatest, but he's a good guy as well.
Kasim Green as well was with you guys?
Kasim Green. Kasim didn't say much at all, but he's a big body, very quiet, but he let his game do the talking for the most part, definitely. Scored down low. He definitely had my back some snacks as well when need be. He always had snacks. So.
Hey, man, snacks are important on an overseas trip, man, like only us guys know.
Definitely.
And huge shout out to our entire group. Kasim Green, Jamel Calloway, Mike Henry, Mario Butler, Shaquem Jackson, Keith Jackson, who's on here now with us. But it's truly been a pleasure to have you guys to take it so serious, to understand the way of life, to be a part of our TMBT family. So we'll be having the other 5 guys. They'll be able to come aboard. They are also writing blogs, and we'll be doing vlogs to put up on our website. So we're excited to share with the public and with the players and kids. I want you guys to be able to share with these media outlets that we have and this technology that we have. I really want you guys to share your experience with the kids and those young men that would like to attend as well. Talk to me a little bit about the basketball. Explain the difference between what you've learned playing basketball down there in comparison to where you were working out in college, let's say. Talk about the difference between basketball in Argentina on the level that you're playing now versus college.
I would definitely say the biggest difference that people should be prepared for is the physicality of the game. Definitely taking smarter shots. Be able to bang, do a little bit more hand checking down here. So definitely have to play the game tough and hard every possession. Can't take a possession off. The concepts that they have down here, a lot of pick and roll, coming off a lot of down screens. Most of the Argentinian guys down here can shoot. So pretty much I'll be able to do it all, playing defense and being able to play in different parts of the court when you're on the court, when you're here.
Definitely, most definitely. What is it? I don't want to say that I taught you the game, but what can you say that you've learned from our talks, our long talks that we've had in the gym about basketball? What can you say that has come true the most? What have you seen from what I've kind of said and taught you about basketball and getting to your spots? What have you seen of that? Talk about that experience a little bit.
One of the biggest things is knowing where you're at on the court and where you're going to score when you get the ball, when you're going to have to score when you get the ball, when you're out there. Whether you're in a high post, having to be able to shoot that mid-range jump shot or being able to rip and go left or right. And defensively, how to guard everybody. You definitely can't have a hand down at any time because they're just going to shoot it if you don't have a hand up in their face. So those are the 2 main things I took away from you in those conversations.
Good, man. Good. I'm glad that I was able to talk shop with you. Of course, you were able to come here, and we would go to the gym. We wouldn't have much space, but I wanted it to be about me teaching. I think pro basketball, for me, the fun part, whether it be youth or pro basketball, is the teaching aspect of it. I really, as a coach and as an older guy, I enjoy teaching. And the only way for you guys to know is either to experience it or for me to kind of prepare you for it. Of course, you guys are going to see so many things that I just try to basically prepare you for stuff that you're going to see, stuff that you're going to be asked to do. Like you said in Espanol, Coach Botti wanted you guys to flex all of the basic high school, college stuff that's run here as far as offense. You guys were mentally prepared for that because we had Coach Carlos Diodati. Talk about what the process of talking to Coach Diodati did to help you prepare for the trip on our Skype, TMBT Skype team chats.
Say that one more time. You said Coach Diodati?
Right, Coach Carlos. Coach Carlos Diodati, how he talked to you about this offenses and what you will be seeing, how that those Skype chats that we would have with him at the Y. Just talk about how they helped.
You definitely prepared in a matter of telling us what to expect. So definitely work on our jump shooting, our ball handling. The main 2 things that you need to work on when you get down there is your jump shot and your ball handling and your conditioning. Definitely have to be conditioned when you get down there. So him telling us their offense is running flex. and pick and roll, stuff that if you're a basketball player and you run the same thing in high school, to be prepared for it just on a more elite level when you get down there. So with that warning and those conversations that he had with us, it was definitely a huge help before we got down there.
Definitely. Big shouts out to Coach Carlos Diodate from Buenos Aires, Argentina. He's part of our TMBT family, and he really, I wanted him to talk to you guys and explain kind of what to expect as far as what coaches, from a coach's aspect, what you guys will be asking to do, asked to do. And so I was thankful to have him as part of our family to kind of guide. I think we talked to him maybe 4 or 5 times, and it's just good to have maybe more, maybe 6 for some guys, 7, 8 times. But it's just good to have him as well as a couple other coaches, just to let you know. We may not be able to tell you 100% of what you're going to see, but just to be ready for these type of things or those type of things. So it's just part of what we do to try to get our young men prepared. But of course, at the end of the day, each young man has to play. Each young man has to show that he's worthy of that spot or of that place on that team. Talk to me a little bit about the food. You and I had some interesting talks about the food in Argentina. I don't think you guys believed me when I said that the food would be incredible. What wound up being your favorite thing to eat down there?
Best thing is definitely that wood-fired chicken. That's
Definitely.
Top 3 best chicken I've ever had in my life. So.
Yes, sir.
We also had a asado. I never had the glute of the cow. That was the first. Extremely thick steak, but it was amazing. It was definitely extremely good as well. I can't even down it. And I'm not even a red meat eater myself, but I had to try it. So
right,
it was worth it.
Well, it's funny. It's one of the things that I tried to explain to you, before you left, about the culture and the food and how they cook it. And so I'm sure you. Like you said, you've never seen it before. It's only done down in that country, and it's a cleaner, a healthier way to cook chicken outside, to cook meat outside. So whatever the meat is that you put, what you see they have down there, just chorizo. What else did you see on the grill down there?
On the salad, he made chorizo, like chorizo sandwiches. The salad is a little different. Pretty much just had lettuce, onions, and carrots in it, but then they only use oil and vinegar. Use ranch, none of that stuff, which is still good. And then he also had the steak. The steak, too much steak, actually. He kept offering it more and more when you were already full. So they definitely planned for it in abundance.
Now you see why Coach Botti is so hefty, huh? He's a hefty brother, man. They eat a lot. Yeah. They eat good down there. Don't they eat good, though?
Definitely.
They eat good, man.
Nobody should be hungry.
Right. Well, they it's part of their hospitality, too, that they really want you, when you eat a meal with another man or as a team, you really get a chance to learn a lot about that team and about that person. So they really put a value on team dinners. And so it's an old saying. I know I said this before for our listeners, but they really believe that in Argentina, championships are won at the dinner table. And so every day they get together and they eat and they talk, discuss. It's kind of like a group meeting after work every day. And so it brings you closer together. That I can admit. I'm sure you can admit, Keith, that it brought you closer to those young men from Argentina, but it also brought you closer to your teammates, your family, some guys that you had never met before.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Definitely. The culture down there it'll humble you. Coming from America, if you've never left there, it'll humble you as a person for sure. The culture down there is very family oriented, and they bring you in like family. So you see things and you experience things that you'll take back with life, and it'll make you move different if you've never experienced it.
Right. It's it's kind of like you said. It's one of those things. Uh, you can't, you can't, you can't duplicate it. It's kind of like what I say. Um, you can't prepare for practice twice a day like you're going to see. Uh, you can't practice for that on your own. You can't. You just can't. You can't do it. I don't care. Unless you've been down there and practiced with a team twice a day like that and done weights and had your full day. You can't understand what it's about, so you can't prepare for it. It's so tough because I can tell you, Keith Jackson, what to prepare for, but until you get down there and are under the tutelage of one of these coaches and on one of these teams, then I can't. You won't believe me until you get down there. Talk to me a little bit about 2-a-day practices. What does your day consist of? Because we try to explain to guys, and I don't think they believe us. So so now they can hear from right from the horse's mouth. What was your day like? Just talk about a normal day when you guys were rolling in Chile or rolling in Argentina with practice and a couple hours of sleep for a siesta. Talk about that for me.
I'll talk about let's talk about the second day I was down there. Right after I got off that plane, I had a practice that night, and then the next morning they practice at 10 o'clock. So go in there, start off with a three-man drill, four-man drill, five-man drill. You stretch. Might do weights, you might not. If you don't do weights, do a lot of mid-range jump shots, three-point jump shots, shots off the pick and roll, shots off the dribble. Then we do a lot of team-orientated shooting as well. We'll do a little bit of conditioning, then we'll stretch. We'll be done with that practice. You'll be able to go. You should probably go take a nap after that practice because then you're right back at either 7 or 8 o'clock.
Now wait, Keith. Sorry to cut you off. Explain to our listeners why you should go and take a nap, because we advise guys to take a nap. Some guys don't understand until they get down there. Explain to our listeners, please.
Because your body is going to tell you to do it. Because if you go to that second practice without any type of rest, you're not going to be able to perform at your highest level, your highest peak. Because you're tired from that first practice. About 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on how long it takes you to finish certain shooting drills. So going into that second practice is about another 2 to 3 hours, and it's more running than what you did in the first practice. So that nap in the middle of the day is more than important. Because right after you finish that end of that practice at night, you might get out at like 11:30 at night, and you're right back up in the morning again at 10 or 11.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is. What else did you enjoy about the culture? What did you learn as far as basketball in South America versus basketball here in the NBA? Talk to us about that difference.
For me personally, I learned how to be more of a team player and being able to trust your teammates if you're on a team that you think hits your game and whatnot, and being aggressive in the right moments when you need to be. A little bit of both. Those are the main two things that I pulled away from it myself. And then defensively, you got to be able to play outside. If not, then you're probably either not going to play or you screen that a lot. So defense is big, and just playing physical, period. More physical than what you would play in America, in my opinion.
Definitely. Elaborate if
more soft, man.
Yeah, of course. Elaborate for our listeners, for those ball players that don't understand the level of physicality. Of course, they will never understand it until you are pushed to that limit to play that physical. Talk a little bit about how it's physical. It's just not physical, street physical warfare. It's a art to it. It's an art to it. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Um, I'll give you a perfect example. I know in America that you'll get called for a lot of hand checking, or if you to dive your shoulder into a player when you're going to the hole, you might get called for that offensive foul, or arm barm. If you're playing the post, you're not able to extend that too much because they might call that foul as well. None of that. Opposed to the American going against one of the other Argentinians, you might get called for that foul for sure. But you, as the American, have to be able to absorb contact and to be able to give it as well, because you're definitely going to be getting to it yourself. If not.
Wow. So we're hoping that everyone will understand what we're saying. But for those guys, like you said, you can't expect them to understand, because until you have either played on that level or had a chance to talk to guys, but you have to play. Even though someone can explain to you as much as they want to, you have to play and understand that it's a very physical game. Um, Talk to me a little more about what you learned from your teammates. About we talked a lot about how great your teammates were, and I'm sure it gave you a greater respect for Argentina and the guys you were playing against.
With my teammates, the reason why we won games is because everybody trusted each other. Everybody held each other accountable as well. Didn't let anybody walk around with any negative energy or any heads down or nothing like that, even if we're down or up. Every guy showed a lot of poise and courage. So I'm sure, just like myself, that was a lot of those guys' first time being down there playing in an environment like that and with teams like that in general. So the fact that everybody was able to handle and conduct themselves in such a manner and still be able to win and playing games that we've never done before, it was just something special for sure to be a part of. And as a result, hard work pays off. So the mental aspect of it, it's like we always say, is 80% mental, 20% physical. So if you're feeling a little down physically wise, if you're up mentally and you have teammates around you that feel the exact same way, then it makes the game a little bit easier. And being down there with that group of guys, they definitely were a mirroring example of all of that.
Now, talk about me. For those people that know me and know that I always say basketball is 80% mental, 20% physical. I know I told you that before you went down there, but you probably didn't believe me. I'm hoping that you understand what I'm saying now. Talk about talk a little bit about that aspect of the balance of having mental as well as physical control over what's going on.
It's very easy being down there as an athlete, as a pro athlete, to get down on yourself. And I think anybody would know, once you have that negative aspect or negative thought in your head, you're not able to do as well as you would if you did have a more positive outlook on it. So being a pro ball player, you're going to be challenged physically. That's just your job, to be challenged physically. But if you're not at the peak and your mental thinking mentally and able to get through it, it's just a recipe for you to not do well. So you have to be more mentally strong than physically to be the pro basketball player that you want to be.
Correct. Yes, sir. Correct. It's that simple. Uh, Talk to me about. Let's see. Now counting. I think we just counted them up. You've been down there 16 days.
Yep. That's counting.
And counting. Of course, that's quite a long time. What have you had a chance? Talk about your communication with your family and how you guys have been able to talk through technology, through FaceTime, what have you. Talk a little bit for those guys that think that they will be won't have any way of contacting their family. You can talk a little bit about how we communicate and kind of give them an idea that technology works all over the world.
Your best friend is going to be WhatsApp. And when you're down here, you'll definitely always have Wi-Fi access when you're in these different places. Probably the only time you might not have Wi-Fi is when you're on the bus. But depending on where you're going, the rides aren't that bad. So whenever you do get to your destination, you will have Wi-Fi. So Skype as well, and then FaceTime, of course. So you're able to still talk to your family and friends, to get contact with them. But making regular phone calls, probably not going to happen. So just make sure your phone, you connect the Wi-Fi, and you're fine. Good to go.
Good, man. Good. Talk to the people a little bit about yourself, man. How has Keith Jackson, I would like to think that Keith Jackson has grown in this bit of time that you have been down there. Talk to me, how has Keith Jackson grown as a person, as a ball player, as a human being?
As a person, it's definitely humbled me. I know in America we might tend to want more things than we need. And maybe as a basketball player, of course, it also has humbled me to know that it's okay to trust the next guy next to you as well, especially if that guy wants you to play harder than what they expect you to play. So jumping back to, like, as a person aspect, it definitely makes you count your blessings a little bit more when you go through some of these places. Of course, in Argentina, it's a beautiful city, but in some cities that you ride through, that people are struggling in some places. So it just gives you a different outlook on life, because not only are they struggling, you just see them so happy, like not worried about much, and then they don't have much. And it doesn't even matter, because they're happy with life. That's what it's all about, in my opinion, and obviously in their opinion.
Right. Definitely, man. Definitely. I think that's one of the things that you and I talk about. I remember us having those talks at the gym, and one of the things I said to you is how people are so it's humbling, especially for someone. The older you get, you kind of meet people in your travels, and you're able to kind of be thankful for where you are and where you come from and who your family is. And it's one of those things where you, especially when you go to some of these countries and find out people are under different circumstances. Everyone has what they have going on, but some countries, thank goodness we're from a country that is a little further along than most. We are from a we're from a country that is a first world country, and so we are blessed to be from this country, and it really humbles you. I'm sure you've made friends that you had a chance to see and talk to over your 16 days down there. That it really lets you know that you're blessed to be from the United States.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Talk to me a little bit more about what you want people to know here in the United States, young kids that are playing middle school basketball or high school, college basketball. What advice can you pass on to them to help them prepare for where you are now?
The best advice that I would give, if somebody gave it to me, is to definitely master what you're doing right now. So whatever offense or whatever you're running, run that to the best of your ability and at the hardest that you can. Because at the next level, there are some concepts that are the exact same thing that you're learning right now, but it'll already be familiar in your brain and in the muscle memory and what you do. You can master those things and perform at a high level. And then, of course, be able to deal with the struggles that you have mentally throughout the season and the college season, because, of course, everybody goes through it. No season is perfect. You'll be okay when you get older and you do want to pursue that dream of being a pro basketball player.
Right. Okay, so we see, I see all of you young guys every seems like this generation. I think today's thing is the 10-year challenge, right? So my question to you is, where talk about where you are now, living out your pro dream compared to where you were 10 years ago. Talk to the kids that were your age 10 years ago, those kids in middle school or high school. Talk about your 10-year challenge to make it to where you are now.
Me personally, 10 years ago, I was 15, freshman year in high school. I actually didn't make varsity my first year. I played freshman in JV. Then me putting in the work that I did to get to the point that I got to in high school, I made varsity sophomore year, made varsity junior year, made varsity senior year. But I didn't play the most time as well either. So throughout the years in my career, I really just had to outwork the best guy that was in my area in order for me to get to the next level in the game, because I was definitely counted out coming out of high school. But the determination and the hard work that I instilled in my head back then definitely carried over to where I am now. And of course, nobody expected me to be a pro back then, but I am a pro now. So those tendencies that I built when I was younger helped me be the player that I am today.
Exactly. Well said. And so it's not where you started. It's where you end up. So like you said, with hard work, getting in contact with the right people, but just maintaining focus. Like I always tell you guys would just get little messages from me. I would try to just say, hey, maintain focus, or try to tell you guys every day, maintain focus, man. Keep going. You guys are close. So talk a little bit about that process of traveling from, you left from Newark. Talk about your trip from Newark, how you went through security, the whole thing. Talk a little bit about it. Paint a picture for that next group that may be going.
Well, for me, I wanted it a little bit more than what I guess what the other person would want. I drove from North Carolina first, all the way up to New Jersey. Then I hopped on a flight, which was another 10 hours. It took about 7 hours to get there first through car. Got on the plane, was blessed enough to have a little bit of extra leg room. The flight was about 10 to 11 hours. Landed in Buenos Aires. Then I had to take another flight to Neuquén, which is another 2 hours. And then from that flight, I actually got about 2 hours of rest, and then I had practice right after that. So being in the area long and then doing all that traveling, it might be asked of you if you are a pro, and you have to be able to produce and be able to just be ready to play as soon as you do get there. Drinking a lot of water is definitely important, so maybe you don't cramp up as much, but you have to be prepared mentally and physically, more so when you get off that plane, because obviously you've done all the hard work that you've done before you got there to be ready to play. But it's a long flight. It's a long one. So
really long flight. I don't think. I think you and I talked about it. Of course, we had our Skype chats and TNBT Skype and WhatsApp chats, and no one understands. Of course, it's not normal for a human being to be on a flight that long, but it's where we were tasked to go to, and you guys could see. What did you think? Like when you, tell me about your whole experience. Like meeting me, did you know what to expect? It's funny talking to guys after they've met me and had a chance to go on our trips and find out that I'm a real person, because so many guys, from what I understand, are not told the truth, and guys don't know what to believe. Guys go to countries and there's no camp. So talk a little bit about some of the horror stories you've heard versus believing what I was saying and kind of finding out more and more about who I am.
Well, for one, you're definitely a real person. Anyone that's thinking that you're not, I don't know what's going through their minds, but you're definitely a real person. There are, of course, bad things that happen to everybody, but you being who you are, you helped me be prepared for it, period, before I even got there, by telling me what to expect by getting off the plane and how long it is if you aren't prepared for it, it will show. But if you do put in the correct work and you do actually listen to the knowledge that's being instilled, then the sky's the limit for the most part.
Right. Can you imagine if someone had just told you, yeah, I'm going down there to practice, thinking that practice was going to be for like 30 minutes a day, and then they jump on our trip and you have practice twice a day. Can you imagine if I hadn't told you or been honest with you to let you know how practice is going to be? Can you imagine someone just saying, hey, let's just play this much basketball, because it's not normal here in the United States. It's not normal.
Definitely not. If you don't come from one of those coaches there aren't many of them in America that make you just run all the time. So if you don't come from one of those programs, then you're definitely going to be blindsided. And you have a rude awakening if you're not prepared for it.
Yep, definitely. Of course, this is our TMBT Argentina, TMBT Media Las Vegas podcast. Part one with our TMBT pro, Keith Jackson, who is currently in Argentina as we speak. Keith Jackson has been in Argentina for 16 days. He arrived on January 4th, and today makes his 16th day and counting. So Keith Jackson has a workout coming up next week on Monday in Cipolletti, Argentina, and he will also be attending a camp in Buenos Aires to help with his placement. So we're very proud of this young man. He has been putting up with us for maybe almost 2 months now. But it's been, I think, your time from which you signed to where you are now. That turnaround time has been pretty quick, like we said. What has it been? Less than a month, maybe?
Definitely.
So it's a testament to what young men can do when they put in hard work. When you're prepared mentally and physically, you're able to withstand the pressures of playing basketball. Some people see basketball as a hobby, but I think you can attest, Keith Jackson, that it's totally different when it's your job and you're trying to get a job doing it. I'm talking a little bit about the difference between it being your hobby and you playing basketball as your job.
The difference between a hobby, you might go in there just looking at this, have fun, more so than just to really be working on your game. You can't go in there and do a couple of dribbles between your legs, maybe shoot 10 jump shots, maybe do a couple layups, and then say you're done. You definitely have to condition yourself, take game-like shots, and hit the weights if you can. Like we said, it's definitely a physical game. It's a physical run while you're down there. So playing with your friends and not taking it as serious is not a recipe for what you need to do if you're putting in work to get ready to go down there and play football.
Definitely not a good recipe. I'm wondering what it is that you have been able to. Of course, you've learned a lot, but what can you say that you know now about pro basketball that you didn't know 3 months ago? Or let's say the time in between, let's say 3 months ago. What is it that you learned that you can say, wow, what you thought versus what you know to be true now? Because the perception is so big. Right, go ahead.
Yeah. Personally, I'd say go down there in the best possible shape that you can possibly be in to avoid any injuries or just any discomfort in your mind that you might think that you're not prepared. If you go down there and trust your work and trust your practice and physically you're in tip-top shape, you don't have to worry about any injuries or any bad games if you're not playing well, because you'll be prepared for any challenge in that aspect. So I definitely learned that personally as a player, because you can always have setbacks as a player. But of course, if you do have setbacks, if you are mentally strong, you'll be able to push yourself through them. So that's what I learned as a pro player.
Definitely, indeed. And it's one of those things to talk to a friend about it. I think you have lots of guys that actually play pro basketball that you know personally, and I'm sure you guys talk about it, but to actually go down there and to do it yourself, it's I'm sure you will attest to it being totally different.
Completely different than talking about it and doing it. That's two different things.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about the for those that have never traveled in Argentina. Talk about the planes. Talk about the airports. Talk about what it's like to travel inside of Argentina.
Another piece of best advice if you are traveling, go ahead and brush up on some Spanish. Nothing is in English. Nothing. Knowing some of Spanish, just poquito, a little bit. Being able to, como se dice, ask how to say certain things. Hola, buenos dias, buenas noches. Being able to say hello, good morning, goodbye, good night. Know your numbers. So you can actually read the signs and whatnot if you are in the airport, or if you need to ask for help, you're able to pull someone to the side and ask. Google Translate will definitely be your best friend if you're not as good at Spanish yet. So through the airports, like I said, nothing's in English, and of course nobody is speaking in English. Everybody's speaking in Spanish. So you definitely got to be able to guide if you are by yourself and not in a group, because you can get lost if you don't pay attention.
Did you be honest? Did you totally? Of course, you could not have. But how much did you believe me when I said that I'm going to need you to learn some English, some Babbel, some Google Translator, study some things? Did you believe me when I said that, or were you just like, oh man, Coach doesn't know what he's talking about?
I downloaded Rosetta Stone the next day personally, and then when you told me about Babbel, I downloaded that too. So.
Good, man. Good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can see where it's paying off.
A little bit more with Coach Bodie. Yeah.
Right, but I'm sure you can see where knowing something is paying off. And like I try to tell our guys that if you'd be surprised at how many times it comes down to guys not understanding the coach, and the coach can't communicate with the American player, that they let him go because that coach does not speak any English, or he don't understand what you're saying, and it becomes frustrating. It becomes frustrating, and they will take a player who speaks a very little bit, but can at least understand. You may not be able to respond, but you at least understand what he's saying or what have you. For those guys listening, please brush up on your Spanish. Google Translator, like Keith said, one of your best friends. Babbel, Rosetta Stone. The good thing about technology today is most of these young players have phones, and they have iPhones and Androids, so you can pull all this stuff up on your phone. And of course, while you're traveling, Keith, I think you guys were using Google Translator while you guys were down there. Talk a little bit about that, how Google Translator can really save your life. Elaborate on how it can save your life.
The app, pretty much, like I know another example, when you're at the restaurant, you can hold the phone over the menu, and it literally translates everything back into English once you hover it over the menu. Or I know when trying to communicate with Coach Bodie, if I didn't necessarily understand a couple of the words that were in the sentence, you're able to punch in the words that he is trying to say, and it translated immediately, so you're able to understand. So right. that app definitely worth downloading for sure.
Right. The good thing is you guys have that now. Back when I played, there was no Google Translator, brother. If you didn't know it, you were just in trouble. Trust me. So it was best that you learned it. So I'm glad you're taking the time to learn it and to understand that it's a way of life, and that you have to be, when in Rome, do as the Romans. I'm glad you're learning that and taking my advice and now passing that advice on to some of these other guys that will be going down with us. We're not going to be keeping you much longer, Keith. We know you're down there. You're going to have to. You guys are 2 hours ahead of us here in the United States. Talk to us a little bit about how that is working for you mentally. Like we said, 80% mentally, 20% physically. What is that doing for you mentally to know that you're in a part of the world that is 2 hours ahead of where you were born, where you're from?
speaking for myself personally, I've dealt with time change my entire life. So I've lived on the east and I've lived on the west. Whether you're, of course, on the west coast, the people that I know they're 4 or 5 hours back. So it's a challenge if you haven't dealt with time change before. It's harder to communicate if you don't keep track of your time a lot more. So your sleeping schedule might be a little messed up, but if you're taking naps, you'll fall asleep in a decent hour if you are putting in the correct amount of work.
Definitely. Talk about how important us here in the United States, we don't normally get a chance to take naps during the day. Talk about how important a simple nap can be to a pro basketball player doing his everyday routine.
It could be as simple as if you take a nap, you might be able to shoot the ball and play defense a whole lot more and push through certain drills a whole lot better than if you didn't take that nap. Possibly lose your job if you went in there and say you didn't take a nap before a game or a nap before practice. If you're not at your tip-top level ready to play every day. And of course, we all play for a job and being able to keep it. So you want to be at your top peak level mentally and physically every time you step onto the court when you're here.
Definitely, brother. What? How's your communication been with your family? Pretty much Facebook, not Facebook, FaceTime. I know you have Apple products. What else have you been able to communicate with your friends? I see where you guys were able to sign on and check your Facebook. What else is life pretty normal for you as far as social media? You're able to talk to your friends?
Yeah, actually, I still use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter not as much. Snapchat and WhatsApp. Still able to communicate the exact same using those apps. And so if your family is not able to get in contact, you can FaceTime if you don't have Apple. If you're an Android user, they can download WhatsApp and they can video chat you on there or talk to you through text. Or they can talk to you on Facebook as well. And still communicate with you because Wi-Fi works everywhere.
And that's good to know. Of course, you and I know this, but for those guys that just, their parents may be a little worried, or for those guys that have family, wives, kids, we have you guys communicating the same way that you are here. FaceTime, you're able to see the person, talk to them voice every day. I talk to you guys 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, so we don't have a problem there. Anything you want to end your part 1 with? We're going to bring it to a close here. We're going to let you get ready for tomorrow, but we really appreciate you coming aboard tonight to our TMBT Argentina, TMBT Media, Las Vegas podcast on Globe Warriors. It is currently 9:30 here on the East Coast. You guys are around 11:30. Anything you want to close up with part 1, Keith? Anything you want to say to your friends and family that are listening, or friends that you met in Argentina? Anyone in particular?
I'll just go on in a group aspect of it because, of course, I've gotten a lot of messages and just a lot of support, period, from there, and the people that I've met and the different fans that I've also met as well that have had me on Instagram. I just appreciate all the prayers and all the wishes that I've received from everyone. And I definitely don't plan on letting anybody down. I'll continue to work just as hard because I know a lot of people are paying attention and keeping up with the journey and what I got going on here. So just thank you to everybody. It's been a huge blessing, more than what I expected.
Good, Keith. Good. We'll be having part 2 coming up a little later in the week. You guys, your listeners, can hear more from Keith. He'll also be doing another blog. He'll be vlogging as well. We'll have some pictures up on our website. So Keith will keep us posted on his whereabouts, his journey, and everything that he's doing. we'll try to feel like we are right there with you, Keith. So you can kind of keep us in mind and kind of talk to your TNBT family while you're doing your vlogging and stuff. So we'll be signing off for TNBT Argentina, TNBT Media Las Vegas here with Keith Jackson in Argentina. He's been there for 6 days. We'll be checking back in with him later on this week to kind of find out how his week has gone as far as practice and traveling and those type of things. So thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be checking back in next week.